it's important to me as a human being to actually create value and share it and make sure that other people can achieve their dreams. I think a lot of people, they want to get it online. They want to be creators, but they don't always know how. And also a lot of people, they get overwhelmed because they don't know the systems. And, it's like, I don't know what I don't know. It goes back to history. Storytelling was original podcast. So it's like, let's do it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the PolyTools Creator Spotlight. I'm talking with Russ Johns. He is a podcaster, live stream expert, founder of NextStepNext, Tunefarmer creator, and host of the Pirate broadcast. Back when I came on that show too. It was one of my first live streams that I ever went on. So thanks for having me on there, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to connect. And after a period of time, we all creators. Then the creators are we combine creating and video, audio, words, and music, and it's wonderful to be here right now.
That's the point of the show too. I kept seeing all these creator interview shows focus on just podcasters or just YouTubers. Yeah. And I realized that there was a lot to learn from other creators, like even gaming creators, right? These live streamers, they find a lot of ways of marketing their gaming in a unique way. And then lo and behold, a few years later, you see podcasters doing that same methodology. Yeah. As someone who is a live streamer, like pretty prominently yourself, what was some of the lessons you learned when it came to live versus non-live kind of creating?
Well, first off, when I was doing the pirate broadcast, I would cut it up, do the audio, and then distribute it to the podcast, and then distribute it to YouTube. And also I had a blog that did the show notes. So words, images, audio, and video, way that you can actually do that. And then I could do snippets. We've been mentioning other tools that we can get into later on, but to actually repurpose the content that gets a more traction and visibility and grow the authority for somebody that, like yourself, that's innovative and wants to create. It's just like sharing the words, sharing the message that you can actually get visible. It's like you have to be visible before you can actually give your brand a chance. So it's all about visibility and traction.
It's even more than just marketing. It's just being out there. And you've kind of hinted already a few minutes in 3 times about this kind of omni-channel idea of repurposing and being everywhere. Quick question. When you were doing the live streams, they were being sent to YouTube, I presume, already. Mm-hmm. Are you posting the edited versions on there as well and hiding the live streams? Or were you just doing just the live streams on video and only the edited on audio?
No, I would do the live stream live, and then editing the audio and then send it out to the channels.
Because sometimes I've seen people do that where they would do a live stream and you could watch it live, but then they would hide the live stream and post an edited version later on or something like that.
I didn't, because I was doing a show 5 days a week.
Yeah,
I didn't have.
You didn't have the time to be doing all that.
Yeah, I didn't have time, and I was creating for other creators, clients. So it's like, but to me, and you could appreciate this, Dustin, because I always like to experiment, and it was what can I do? What can I push the boundaries in? And I used to teach the content flywheel years ago, about 2013, but and I was creating for a radio station and creating content for the radio and doing shows. And then that got me into YouTube and creating more content, very, very like a lot of content for social media, YouTube. And it was an exciting time because there wasn't tools
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And podcasting it's not recent, but it's still evolving. And that's how I got involved into the podcast movement.
Mhm.
I taught a class on podcast movement in, I think, 2013, because I posted the easiest way to start a podcast. So it's like, it's innovative. I enjoy creating, and I love to push the boundaries,
Yeah.
you know.
Definitely. I think that's one reason why you guys got along too, because we both had this just eye for content. Not just eye, but mind for content too.
Yeah.
Out of I know it's somewhere up there, but I didn't check the number. How many prior podcasts did you do at this point?
I produced over 1,000 podcasts. The pirate broadcast was somewhere almost 600 episodes. And then I had probably 150 episodes for the 2-minute tips. Well, the 2-minute tips, what I just ramble on.
Little
It
solo
was
cast, whatnot.
it was 2-minute tips in 10 minutes or less.
That's funny. Well,
Yeah.
and I ended up having my solo cast on the same feed as my interviews, and
Uh-huh.
just this past like 24 hours, 36 hours, I've been debating with the concept of after this season no longer doing solo casts on my feed, because I've had it kind of not 50-50, but tried to,
Yeah.
and I like the idea of having both there. But I almost thought about making a new podcast, the PolyInnovator audio experience, and then focusing just interviews on that RSS feed. And it's just interesting to think about, you had so many episodes at this point. Have you gone through all of them and repurposed all of them at this point? I know that that's pretty expensive, to
No,
be honest. Yeah.
no, it's a massive undertaking.
It was big for me, and I only had 120 at the time when Opus came out, for example. And so I can definitely see that 10x what
Yeah.
I had is definitely hard.
But I think experiments become experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a way to actually evolve your brand and your message, and also make sure that you have the ability to actually use your talent to create other people's talent. Because somebody is, you know, they don't know how to do it, they're overwhelmed by the content process. And then it will allow you to actually encourage people, help more people, help more people. And I think that's the true value that the content creator, it's like you go bust the weeds and make sure that you can figure it out, and then teach other people to do it, or
Mm-hmm.
do it for you,
Mm-hmm.
done for your service. And I think a way to actually create value. I'm always about creating value and helping somebody up. And I have taught, uh, I don't know how many podcasters. I trained podcasting for a long time, and live streaming. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a way I can give back. So,
I was just watching a video interview of Linus Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips on
yeah.
Colin Samir's channel, and it's a great video. And he talks about how his channel has grown. And I definitely think that some of the things you were just saying there is exact mindset that he had. So I'm looking forward to seeing your channel at 50 million subscribers like his. Okay. So I'm looking forward to that. And I also, you mentioned a few times like this idea of this different experiments that we do. I was telling you beforehand about how I went on Spotify and added clips and videos to it. Another experiment I've done was actually going on the YouTube community tab and making 370 posts for Twitter, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, Facebook, and the YouTube community, and scheduling them out for the next year ahead.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out, because that way I can get consistent on a feature that's getting pushed. Same with shorts. I'm trying to do a short a day at least, if not like 10.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see, what experiments have you done in recent years that you think are really interesting?
That's a great question. My statistics suck.
I mean, mine too, but I think that's part of the game when you might spend 6 years doing it and then all of a sudden blow up.
But
or longer.
Mostly what my experiments done recently, because my health issues, we could talk about later, but some working on frameworks, because a lot of people, they like how to launch, how to website, how to podcast, how to live stream, but they're all they all relate to each other, and having a framework, then you can actually grow and be consistent on all pieces of the puzzle, and actually can sell a product or a course or a service that can be valuable to people that want to save time. So doing, Opus Pro, we mentioned Opus Pro, but somebody that doesn't want to create the content themselves, so you can use live stream activity and basically interview a person, just do research of the person and do a founder story, and then cut it up on you. I had an interview with, it was probably a 90-minute interview, and it created 85 pieces of content. And then you can schedule it and roll it out and allow the content to be, just a way to actually build awareness and visibility to the brand. So that's one piece of the puzzle, having a framework that allows you to collect some visibility. So that's one experiment was done. And then also an experiment that I'm working on right now is probably too soon to tell. It's like I have a way to actually create courses with a landing page, an email that I'm going to create a 3-day course for somebody that wants to do the course. And it's like, there would be like, it's a 5-day series, but it's a 3-day course of 2 days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday would be 2 hours. And then we go through how to build it, and then do questions and answers in between. Then I'm almost ready to build that out and launch that. But I think a lot of people, they want to get it online. They want to be creators, but they don't always know how. And also, a lot of people, they get overwhelmed because they don't know the systems, and it's like, I don't know what I don't know. Let's experiment and turn it into experiments. And then once you know it, it's easier.
Yeah, at least. We could definitely talk about like learning management tools down the line. And one thing I want to touch on later with you is this Gary Vee concept of creating 100 pieces of content a day. Because you just talked about the 85 a little moment ago. But I want to get to the questions I have here because I think they're important.
Yeah.
First and foremost, what got you started as a content creator?
Well, I was always a creator. I was a musician in the early days. I'm still a musician, but I had this desire to, like a maker. I wanted to make stuff. I wanted to create stuff. So my corporate experiments work on, it's like I transferred to Seattle. I had a job in Seattle, but they wanted me to go to the corporate office. And then I was there for 6 months, no, 3 months, and they laid me off into 2010. So I was like, I'm done with this corporate thing. And so, so I started teaching classes on, because I have a radio background, I have television advertising, and then I thought, okay, I've been in technology forever, so I just taught classes, and then I grew a network of 1,000 members in Houston, and taught classes and did speakers, and then I was recruited for a radio station. I did a high school football and sports, high school varsity sports, and the radio broadcast over the radio. And I was working on Spreaker, because live Spreaker had was the ability to do a live podcast. And then I could build that. I hired people that go out to the baseball stadium or the football stadium, and then you do an iPad and the speakers and an interface, then broadcast it live for Spreaker, and then we pick it up on the radio station live and broadcasting to that. I created all that stuff, and then that really got me involved into full time in the creator life. Done it ever since.
You just like you fell into it and basically just you swam with it in the end.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, and then
yeah, it's basically.
And then the next thing I was going to ask you, conversely, what can you explain your health issues and how it's impacted you as a content creator?
Oh yeah. Thanks for asking, because December last year would be 2023 in December. I had a stroke, and I woke up. It affected me for my communication. It's like, okay, I could talk, I couldn't type, I couldn't remember my passwords. Everything was gone, and so I had to train between that time life. So I had to retrain to talk, type, and create as well. And it's like, okay, the challenge, make sure that I had to lift myself as not, not a pity party, but just a reality of life. And it's like, okay, what can I do for that? And so I had to put the pirate broadcast of the Pirate Syndicate on hold, and then go create content for other people for my business. And I started out with NextStepNext, because when I was all early on, I had divorced, got lost my job and everything. Like, it's like, okay, what's the next step? Next step next was the theme. It's like, what's next? Okay, let's go. Let's dive it into it. And so I was really involved into, what can I learn from this? What the experience? What can I grow from this? What attitude I have to actually create something different in my life? So I have so many experience that I enjoy it, leaning into it. Like I said, I
Challenge.
I swimming upstream, so it's like.
Well, and it seems like you and I align with this kind of idea of just practicality. Like, okay, it's happened. What do we do next? Kind of thing.
Next step next.
next. And I will say too, knowing me, I'll probably edit out any pauses or any ums, just how I normally am. So people might not see as much like what you're struggling, but I can see that you're doing pretty well. You're talking, you're articulate, you're coming up with the memories very quickly. So you seem to be doing a lot better now. And I just want to, congratulate you on that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, because it's like my speech is halted. However, my brain is fully functioning. It's like, I know what I need to say. I know what I need to do. I just can't communicate it all accurately. So,
how's your typing now? Have you gotten a lot better?
No, I used speech to text.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I can do that, but I'm getting better. It's just
is it just speed, or is it actually articulation still now?
Speed.
Okay.
Well, let me say this. I can, like, I know the words, but I can't translate, like, simple words. Like, I can't spell the words. It's like
with your fingers and whatnot.
Yeah. It's like I don't know what to type. So it's like, it's crazy, but it's like, it's what I've got.
It definitely makes me think of, I mean, sure, you could do this with like the Siri and Google Assistant, but I know that there's a number of note taking apps that are audio focused first. You could be like walking and talk to it and
Oh
it'll,
yeah,
dictate it. And so that can definitely help. And I think I told you in our DMs, Robert Greene, someone who I looked up to as a creator,
yeah,
he had a stroke as well, or a fall. And it's one of those things where he had to learn to retype and speak again, like you're
yeah,
facing here. And some of the challenges he talked about, so getting a more ergonomic keyboard and seeing if that helps. And it's just frustrating because it seems like from what he says, none of it particularly helped, but it helped a little bit. So it's just like it makes me empathetic of what you guys have to deal
yeah.
with.
It's an adventure in the chapter of life. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
Out of the 3 pillar content, written, audio, and video, obviously written, not right now, but what was your favorite to make, or what is your favorite to make?
A video.
Video.
I'm hesitant doing a lot of video currently because just the
Challenges.
who wants me to ramble on, so it's okay. Actually, I'm comfortable in video, just
Mhm.
off the cuff and just sharing what I'm feeling, and sharing some tools or resources that I find valuable. I I wanted to venture into more newsletters and emails because I started out in email from Hotmail, so it's like, but I'm working on a framework that works for me,
Yeah.
and but video was my go-to.
It's always interesting because you have experience with all three, and that's why I like to ask, because
Yeah,
there's some people who I've talked to who are YouTubers and they're like, "Oh no, I prefer blogging or newsletters." Like, and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting to hear that." People see me and they think podcaster, like, especially when I went to like podcast movement.
yeah,
They're like, that's the first thing they think of is that you're a podcaster. But in actuality, I always say blogger, YouTuber, then podcaster.
yeah. In the past, I have created blog, 1,000 words, 1,500 words a week, and just like blogging. I did a lot of blogging, but it, it's it always evolves. It's evolution.
Mhm.
So it's just whatever suits me right now. So
Yeah, fair enough. So, next question here is, what tools do you use for content creation and repurposing?
oh,
Get nerd out.
okay. I use a lot of tools.
Which is why I'm ready for this. Let's go. Let's spout
uh,
them out.
so I did, and I have used, and I'm using StreamYard for interviews. I'm not. I'm waiting for the next big thing to come along. I'm not happy, but StreamYard, and then I'm also Descript, and I like to edit for DaVinci, and also DaVinci and Descript, and I use Opus Pro, and
Yeah,
like,
we both like Opus, I tell you.
yeah, Opus is great, and then this distribution, I for connecting my accounts, I have Social Pilot, and then let me see what I got. What other tools come off the top of my head? Notebook LM,
Oh yeah, I've been playing with that too. That's been interesting.
yeah, and then doing research and uh, for research for other industries that I need to create content for, and then I Grammarly or Hemingway app to actually tweak the grammar, because like I had a problem with that, and I love to be able to create. And then I have all websites. I have a group app that can actually create websites, landing pages, or I have to my WordPress. I use Thrive themes.
We got to get you off of WordPress though.
Yeah, uh, I've been developing WordPress since 2007, so it's like
Hard habit to break.
yeah, it's like I need to do something else. But
I made the move over to Ghost 5 years ago at this point
yeah,
and haven't looked back because
yeah,
I had so many issues with WordPress from the beginning. That was the first tool I used back in 2012. Like
yeah.
WordPress was the first one, so I get
Well,
you.
I'm using Breezy Cloud as well.
Yeah, yeah. Breezy is pretty cool. I was looking between like Elementor and Breezy, and what was the other one? I don't remember exactly what the third one was,
But Breezy
but
Cloud doesn't. They don't have to do updates on the
yeah,
plugins, and so it's like
it's so nice.
it. It's different, but it works. But I got some sites out there. WP Engine, I have sites, and SiteGround, I have sites. I'm moving away from WordPress development, so it's just like that's in
Too
the
much to
past.
manage. Yeah, PHP. It's interesting because when it comes to content tools, there's so many out there, and I ended up finding a whole bunch down these different rabbit holes, and that's why I created the PolyTools
Yeah,
brand so I could make a directory of all the stuff I've come across. There's so many like blogging CMSs out there too, no less, and
yeah,
I feel like most people only know the top three, but
yeah.
there's a whole bunch of other ones. One that I'm actually looking at that I need to give it a shot at some point is Blog Hunch because you can do like books and courses
Mm,
next to your blog posts. Like it's all built into the same system, and I think that makes things a lot more simple when it comes to the complexity of having multiple different content types.
yeah,
And I tried doing that in WordPress, but it just broke every 5 seconds I could do it. And I even tried doing it in Ghost, and even that wasn't great. So
yeah. Your site
always
looks great, and
thank you.
uh,
Just remade it recently.
I like
So.
I like the remember we were talking about it, but I love the resources. I have to go down a rabbit hole.
Well, each category has at least like 30, I feel
Yeah,
like. And so like
but my
it's one.
absolute favorite is
Mhm.
dub.com. Just
Mhm.
if you want to learn that, but it's a powerful tool. Use video, and I can actually create video from that. It's screenshots, everything. I can do that, but
I'm almost wondering if you should make an audiobook now and then transcribe it into a physical book. Maybe talk about your story, talk about the challenges you faced, obviously currently in the last year, but just in general, challenges you faced over the last 10, 20 years.
yeah, I have I written. If you go to NextStepNext.com, my origin story of the, but I could do that, write a story. Then I spoke last year telling one of the stories. I have many stories, but my
Well,
mom
yeah.
is always like, "You should write a book."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because it's one of those things too, where being able to remember those stories gets harder and harder as we every decade essentially,
Yeah.
and it also makes me think about. I started writing the chapter outline of a future autobiography, and I know that in a decade I'm going to change it, and a decade after that I'm going to change it again.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get my youthful point of view of what my plan is for life to be out there. Those
Mhm.
chapters that I think are going to be important later on, I want to put it there, and then I can say 50 years from now, 40 years from now, this is how I changed it, and here's what I was thinking before. Here's what actually happened. I think
Yeah.
that'd be a kind of cool dynamic.
Yeah. I I wrote a story for my son, just like some of the questions that he has, like growing up, the evolution to my life, everything, and so that would be a good starting off point to actually articulate the stories. And let's say I'm big into storytelling. I wanted to expand on storytelling. I had a friend that we were talking about. I was on Moth, before Moth the storytelling, but I didn't. I didn't win. I suck probably, but it's like I think that could be a way that storyteller is so embedded in your DNA, and after you can tell a story, people will remember for a long time, and it goes back to history. Storytelling was original podcast, so it's like let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's be accountable for each other to create stories for that. But
You should make a post on that topic right there, that like podcast or storytelling was the original podcast.
yeah, that's great.
Speaking of stories, can you share your favorite story that's happened to you as a content creator?
I had so many wonderful stories. One of the stories I love is creating content for someone that you don't meet, and then you meet and have an opportunity to meet him, and it's just like the relationship is automatically closer than a stranger. So it's like I love to be able to. I traveled back to Texas, like D. Scott Smith and some people that I have on the show. Traveled to New York and uh, met people that I had on the show and created that. So that's one item. But the one thing that sticks in my mind is being able to create the live stream broadcasts for AM radio with the live broadcasters and the ability to create some of that infrastructure that I could grow. But it was very innovative because before you have to do an engineer, doing all the trucks and anything like that, but it's scaling down minimal viable product, and that led me to actually teach classes for college classes for journalists, and also teach classes on podcast movements. So, but I've had many adventures. This direct result from meeting people or introduce people to opportunities. So it's like that's what sticks in my mind mostly. Just the relationships in the community.
It's interesting, and definitely the whole live stream with the live broadcast aspect. I always think about the complexity of doing those kind of news channels, and then being able to have something like that, but as a content creator. And it made me think of like the Mevo cams, where you can have like 3 cams in the app and have it all work together. And with podcast movement, it is interesting seeing people that you've met online. I mean, it's obviously different when you make content for somebody versus consuming the content of somebody, but it's kind of like you have a picture in your head of who they are, either when you're making the content or consuming it, and then you meet them in person. And I've been lucky in the sense that like everyone I've met has been pretty much the same in person, which is great. I know that there's been some horror stories of people meeting someone they like online, and then when you meet them in person, it's not like the same. But I met like Shannon Hernandez last year at Podcast Movement, who is a YouTuber around podcasting, and we've kind of kept in touch since then, which is pretty cool. I remember just being like dead. Like, long story short, I was sick, and I was trying, not contagious sick, but sick that could barely move. And I'm walking away, about to leave the conference for the last day, and I look over to my shoulder and I see the long hair, and I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy. And I turned around, and it's Shannon Hernandez, and I met him, shook his hand, and basically ran off after that point to go rest. And it was just interesting to see all these different people over the last year, and being able to talk to people like yourself on camera again, having this meeting. And yeah, I'm rambling now, but it's just nice.
It's nice to build a relationship from a topic that you can relate to, and it's just like, I get you, I get you, and I understand what you're going through. Maybe not day to day, but I understand the complexity of what needs to be happening in a regular basis. But it's nice to be able to do that.
Yeah. And it makes me think about, like, as a content creator, our level of complexity gets bigger and bigger as we get bigger and bigger. And I teach people how to be a content creator on this PolyTools channel. Mm-hmm. One of the things I talk about are the 2 triangles. You have the written, audio, and video, obviously, but then you also have the short, long, and live. So the types of content and the pillar types. And it's interesting to think about. Usually you start from one. So you might start from live streams as a Twitch streamer, then do clips on TikTok, or then you YouTube VODs, whatever, or vice versa. You start with, pre-made content, then you decide to do live streaming later, kind of where I was at. And it's always really interesting to see that evolution, because it doesn't matter where you start. Written audio, video, short, long, and live. You end up generally, if you're pursuing the content creator path, you end up usually doing all three, even if your written's only like a newsletter. And I talked to some newer creators, and they have no intention to do any kind of written content, or no intention to do any kind of video content.
Wow.
They don't realize the possibility of, like, first off, AI, but on top of that, just repurposing in general, like taking your written content, turning it into a podcast with like Blog to Cast or something like that.
Yeah. I started training the content flywheel before Gary Vaynerchuk was like, Gary V was popular.
Spouting it up.
So it's like, okay. But I saw it because I was in radio and television and billboard.
Mm-hmm. You were in it.
I was in it, but I wanted to convert it to digital. I wanted to see that same thing convert to digital. And it's like, I could do that. I know how to do that. So like,
and I feel like the technology wasn't far enough along quite yet back then.
It was torture. But like Canva, another tool I use, it's like, it makes so much easier than doing it
Photoshop or whatever. I have skills to do it in Adobe or Affinity, but it's like Canva makes it so much simpler.
Yeah, but it's nice to be able to quickly, because speed is an element that you want to make sure that you can have. And longevity was, you want it to be, something that will last. And it's just like the combination of frameworks, I think is something the new creators can think about, because it doesn't add a lot of time, because you're doing it repeatedly, and then you can actually create a lot of visibility and authority for your brand. And it's like nurture. It's a nurturing effect. Then it's not necessarily lead generation, but it can build a lead generation tool. But experience and turning it up to 11. Turn it up to 11.
Well, like you said, it's experience. It's about putting enough reps in. And I know, like, Roberto Blake and a lot of other creators, even Gary has said this at some point too, like doing enough reps to have that experience. And usually it's around 100. And so I usually say, like, you need to do 100 videos, 100 podcasts, 100 blog posts, and then you're basically getting started. Yeah. You're not really getting started until that point. Really.
Yeah. Until you have 100 reps in anything, it's just like, do it 100 times, and you can feel comfortable about changing it up.
Well, that kind of where content repurposing comes in too, because I feel like it's hard to repurpose one of the pillar types into another one and do it successfully without having known what that content type feels like to do. Yeah. So, like, if you want to take your video and turn it into a podcast, you can just cut out the audio and do it. It's very simple. But would it be a great thing to listen to? It depends on how your video structure, how well you do it. And you don't know how to make a good podcast until you've done enough reps. Yeah. And then you can just do repurposing a lot easier. So I think that complexity aspect is what scares off a lot of creators. But once you do it, like you said, it's just adding a little bit more, but you get that nurturing process in it.
Yeah. And also what your style is.
Yeah.
You can repurpose, like you could do blogging, but the repurpose style would be create a blog and then repurpose it for a medium or an article, repurpose it for a LinkedIn newsletter, and then have the newsletter trail off and point to your blog for more traffic. So, hey, read the next series on the blog. It's like there's a lot of ways that you can actually create traction for whatever content you wanted to do. It's like one of the things I, like yourself, you can do that. If you think about it, it's okay. How would I repurpose this? And then legitimately, like the PolyInnovator website, you can actually build out a arsenal of tools that you can actually use and repurpose it. And
Hmm.
it's like one, like a course of create a course and just like do a summary, and then from a blog article, and then do the course. You could do like a website, a landing page that creates a course to grow your email, and it's like freemium, or
Yeah.
it's like as a
So
creator, you could do anything. It's like you
yeah.
don't have to. That's the principle of the pirate broadcast is you don't have to ask permission. You don't have to ask for permission. You just have to do it and start and experiment. Become
And
experience.
I love that. And in the job I got right now, I've been doing that where like I just start doing stuff and I'm hoping that it's the right thing to do, but I'm not asking for permission. I'm just taking control of the situation. Like I have to put the clothes down on this table
Yeah,
and put it a certain way. Well, I'm noticing enough patterns in the store that I think I can figure it out without it being too off from the norm. And instead of asking for permission, I'm just going to do it because it needs to be out of the show floor. Let's do it.
absolutely, absolutely.
You've been explaining content repurposing, but what does it mean to you?
To me, I view the chapter in the book a lot. The book of life. It's like this period of my activity in content creation is about. It's all about experiments. All about how I can actually help more people. Help more people. And so, if I can, just like a show, it's like, okay, you're you're doing the show and having people involved in the show to actually grow your audience, or by growing your audience by sharing value. You can create value, and always creating value. It's like if I learn something, I could share it, and then I could create value. So my goal is just always creating value. And like I always say, kindness is cool and smiles are free. And this is this is not a just a saying for me. It's like I have been through a lot of things in my life that's not necessarily comfortable, or that I wouldn't want my worst enemy to go through. However, it's all about the experience of life, and what you do with it is more important, that what you can learn from it, grow with it, and make sure that we can do whatever we're capable of. And it's important to me as a human being to actually create value and share it and make sure that other people can achieve their dreams.
It's internalized into your own it's internalized into your own ethos, it seems like.
Yeah. I wanted to, I'll live that life to the full extent. So it's like,
Mhm.
that's what I do.
I love that. Last question here. What do you have coming down the line that you're looking forward to, Russ?
Okay. We talked about the frameworks, and the challenge I wanted to solve for content creators, or people that want to share their ability and skills with online presence, is the connecting the dots. It's a problem that a lot of people struggle with. They're just like, the tech is overwhelming. The tech is challenges for me. So I wanted to create a workshop. I can simplify the product and simplify the process and teach people how to get rid of the 9 to 5 or do a hustle, just a side hustle that they want to do that. And there's all kinds of ways that you could do that. However, somebody that doesn't understand the process is overwhelmed by it. So my goal is to share that information and build a framework that can actually allow people to cost effectively do that in their own sweet time. So
I love that.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm excited about that.
Well, and I know that people are going to want to learn more about you too, Russ. So where can people find you online?
You can find me online, Russ Johns, Next Step Next. And if you wanted to talk to me, book Russ. It's like bookruss.com.
I got the links down there below for you. This is just a verbal confirmation anyways, but I'm glad that you were able to say all that.
Yeah. I thank you so much, Dustin. I appreciate you. And I'd like to share your website, because it's a lot of resources that you can actually use and rely on to actually grow your business.
Thank you so much. It's time for us to walk the plank, if you will. So Russ Johns and Dustin PolyInnovator on the Poly Tools Creator Spotlight. Cheers.